Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and this is from the Depths Designer with a new version. And whilst still doing some building up in the campaign mode, so not quite ready to start in the campaign whilst a few little updates are happening and just checking everything is working. So after the Air Force had got their new ship, the Navy were feeling a little left out and came up with a few requests. So we've been unpacking their new suggested weaponry, a skipper, a long-range missile and a new Lance torpedo, as well as some high velocity ammo to test in the ship. And what they've asked for is they like the speed and the way that the frigate, the Wasp, closes in with ships, and they like some of the power of the missile monitor. So they say, well, can you build one that's both? So, well, no, I said, because you know, you can't have both things. So they said, okay, just do your best you can. They also want something which, with the new area, we may get some bad weather. So they want something which will handle the weather a little bit better than the current frigate and monitor. And basically it will hunt out the smaller ships, get in close and basically destroy them. So without further ado, so this will be a bit of a build, and I will be talking through it as is my want. We'll put that on there so I can see what I'm doing. I need a new vehicle. So okay, so what we're effectively going to be building is a small fast ship which can go out and destroy small vessels. So basically it's the first of the destroyers, for want of a better word, because you know that sort of fits in with the name. So destroyers in general were initially there wasn't a class as a destroyer. They all came about because of the weaponry that was starting to be used, and that main weaponry was the torpedo. Now the torpedoes didn't have that great a range in the early days, so they would put them on small fast boats to try and get close into the enemy ships and launch their torpedoes. And these were, well, obviously torpedo boats. That was the name, and quite apt they were too. But these torpedo boats were speedy, but not necessarily, bear with me 1 second, 1, 2, 3, yeah, I've got a little bit more, were relatively speedy, but didn't have armour, and they were, they were difficult to hit. They mainly relied on their speed. They were small also. And now, the original torpedoes didn't have a very long range, and therefore they would have to get close to the fleet to do any damage. So the first thing that the fleets try to do is defend themselves against these torpedo boats, which is, obvious. You've got something which is trying to destroy your battleships, therefore you need a defender against the torpedo boats. And first of all, what they just did is got other torpedo boats and put weapons on the torpedo boats, and these were like torpedo gunships, and they did quite reasonably well, holding up against the torpedoes. They were fast as a torpedo boat, but were able to fend off attacks a little bit better. These then got bigger and they put more guns on them, and then they started putting torpedoes on these torpedo gunboats. So, and then they got classed as torpedo gunboat destroyers. because their role was to destroy torpedo boats. So that's how the name, because eventually some of them just took out the torpedo boat part of their name and just called them destroyers. So that is sort of, as best I can find out, the history of destroyers in many ways. I mean, yeah, it's not 100% accurate. I'm sure there's some other bits. There is, what else have we got? One later on, what also happened is then they said, well, the original torpedo boat destroyers weren't very long range. They only really stayed in shallow and close to the shoreline, because they didn't have a very long range. So they started to, so they were not able then to go with the main fleet they were supposed to be supposed to be helping or defending. So I think it was Jackie Fisher. Anyway, some of the others said they wanted a version which would be able to travel with the fleet and defend the fleet as they were travelling to battle and etc. You know, just basically made sense. You know, you've got to be able to go with the other ships. Otherwise, what's the point? I need a bit more. I think I'm going to need a keel here. That's a little bit top heavy already, so I think we're going to be. We'll need a keel to last in the bad weather as well. Anyway, anyway, where was I? Yes. So they wanted some longer range torpedo boat destroyers, and they thought, well, okay, while you're about it, you know, put some more guns on it and make it useful so it can scout and actually attack the enemy fleet. So these torpedo boat destroyers started to become pretty large, and before long, you know, they were still as fast as when steam turbines were used. They were as fast as the torpedo boats, but significantly larger, had quite good guns, had torpedoes, and then in the end they said, well, why have torpedo boats when you have these ships with basically torpedoes on? There's no point in having a torpedo boat as well. Which sort of made sense, you know, it could do both jobs at the same time, as well as being able to scout for the fleet, keep up with the fleet, etc. Let's see if that will keep the nose down a bit. Yeah, that's sort of balancing. I think once I put some weight, I hope this will come down, and hopefully the water line will be somewhere around there. It's quite deep at the moment, actually. Maybe a little deeper than I need it. I think I might take one level off of the top. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so we ended up with those. Now, destroyers got larger and larger. So originally they were no bigger than your average torpedo boat. And I'm going to leave this front size on. I'm going to take it back from about here onwards, actually. And that'll be good reason for that later. Anyway, so they started getting bigger and bigger, and then they started separating out the roles. So they wanted anti-submarine, anti-air. You know, they started taking off some of the guns in World War II, taking off the guns and putting on more AA weapons so they could support the fleet a little bit better. And they, you know, were soon becoming true multi-role vessels, and other vessels were taking over some of the original roles they had, anti-submarine and other types of roles. And you know, nowadays, as time went on, they were again getting bigger, staying fast. You know, some of these modern destroyers are dimensionally as big as some Second World War battleships. Something like an Arleigh Burke is just about as long and wide as some of the early, certainly World War One and some early World War Two battleships. Not as heavy, so the displacement wasn't as big because they don't have all the armour, but they are certainly as big. So it's interesting, but they've changed their weaponry now to be significantly different, to be more in keeping with a I wouldn't say in keeping's the wrong word. Yeah, they've gone for more a missile based armament over time, and have developed, you know, multiple countermeasures, etc. So they've expanded their range, but they are still quite large. Anyway, that's a little bit of history of destroyers in my view. Might be interesting, might not be. Let's take this out of the water because it's a little bit. The current version, the water's a little bit better now. Originally, you couldn't see underwater properly. Right, so design I'm going for here is, I was thinking of a ship which is quite long but thin to cut through the water, is the theory. I don't know if that will actually work as I would like, and also in the rough weather it should be able to at least stay more level, but latitudinal, is that the right word? Anyway, to the side it will be slightly less stable, so I'm sort of not allowing for that, but that will be a factor. But at least longitudinally it will be fairly stable. So basically I'm going to make a little casement here for a gun. The casement is really, as much as anything, just to protect the turret ring, or the turret. So I'm not doing a full... I'm going to have I think we're going to use the new factor, the fact that we've got an increased cooling in the guns, so we most probably don't need to add all the deep cooling that I would normally add to a gun. I think we can get away with a much smaller gun, so I'm going to try that. Let's see how that works. We'll put all the local weapon controller on here anyway, so we've made enough room in the little barbette as such for everything. And then we're gonna put a gun. I still let me think. We still advanced cannon. I will put a bit of a gun shield on the front, I think. So let's bring it up, and we'll have some ammo, and we'll put that. Yeah, okay. We don't need too much. This is going to be a close range gun. Won't be dual purpose, I think. I think we'll leave this as a always does that, as a single purpose gun. So this will just be for penetrating metal, basically. Let's put a barrel in there. I don't want a muzzle brake. I want a bore excavator. Increase the fire rate. Barrel. Maybe a bit more. Let's make it a 6-meter barrel. That should do. Let's now add a gauge increase. So we're up to, make it as accurate as possible, up to 120mm. Let's see what we can do with a 120mm gun. Okay, so auto loaders. Now we're going to go for a high velocity shell, so we're going to put a 2-meter loader on this, and then we'll have the ammo clips solid underneath. Come on, there we go. And then we'll put some input feeders. They can go just under here. We can mostly put multiple. We'll put some there because there's space. And I think we don't have enough room to say put ones on the end as well. We might need a bit of recoil adjustment, but what I'm going to now do is just use See, nothing there is going to poke out when it turns. No, so we can have things poking out the top, but I'm down to put a front sort of, what should we call it, cover, for want of a better word, on the front. Which is a 7 module block, and we're going to try a sabot head. Now, the key bit here is kinetic damage. I want each shot to be able to take out a metal block on average, which means defeating armor piercing value of 15 or more the better, but primarily is a kinetic damage of 2,100 or more. No, so it's a 120mm gun, so let's set this up correctly. Now if we do some sabot warhead and then some solid. Yep, see, that's got 2,900. Yeah, I'm liking that so far. Let's try one more. Yes, bringing that down. Let's just try putting another sabot body in. 26 versus... I'm not worried about range. I'm going to have this at short range. It's just to be a high velocity gun. Now, reducing the gunpowder casings in any way will increase the fire rate, so let's try a base bleeder. 25. Let's try that with the 26. Okay, base bleeder is worth it, mainly because it's gonna really reduce the cooldown cost, cooldown time. Where are we? So we need an optimal barrel length for accuracy is 8. Okay, to try and find if it shows you expected cooldown 683. If I try it without the gunpowder, it's 7. So okay, we'll go with the base bleeder. Generally, it's worth it. And now we've got 25 armor piercing, which is good, and 2,700 kinetic damage. I'm okay with that. Let's just compare a solid here in case. 22. I'd rather have the extra armor piercing there, I think would be good. Kept the velocity up as well. I think that would be good. So this is a pure... Shields will defeat this. This isn't aimed at taking out shields, if it's shielded. But it's aimed at going through targets which are made of metal beams, basically. Yeah. We'll put the AI down here. Also means when I want to find it, I know I can just go weep and it will be there for me. At the moment as well, this area is going to be, we'll see. I'll put some things in this area. It might just be a hold and buoyancy area rather than anything else. So in that case, I might need the space at the back more than I need the space at the front. So let's go this way with the AI. We'll do the usual bits. I'll give it a transmitter. Other bits, we're going to need a intra-vehicle. We're not worried about detectability. A card slot. And I might need another detector. I think we're going to need a few general purpose on there. And we'll just put these ones here. I don't think I'm going to use radar and sonar buoys on this, so that's most probably okay. Right, we'll armour this up. Not armour it up, but just put some protective blocks here. I think I might armour this because it will be targeted and it is pretty damn crucial. I think it's fair enough to give this particular section a little bit of an increase in armor protection, just to, you know, make sure that it survives. I might go one more. Let's go one more forward. I could use the F3 and shift replace, and it's just because I forgot. As always, so sue me. Right. No No metal right. I don't like putting metal, although these are on metal, I don't like putting metal right next to the AI if I can help it, and that's because for future use, if you get any EMP, it will go through the metal straight into your mainframe, and boom, that's your mainframe gone. So best to make sure that there is a bit of a wood gap, for want of a better word. Wood will not. Oh, I just used wood there, haven't I? Okay, that's all right. Wood won't transmit your EMP pulses, and you can also use surge protectors, but the easiest way is just use some wood. It stops the quickest way and simple way to stop it. So the next bit we're left with is the AI, making sure the AI is set up correctly here. So we're going to just set up the cards. So I'm going to have a naval AI and an aim point selection for the guns, because I want those guns to try and maybe hit a critical component. Now this has had the UI changed, so we want these missiles and the torpedoes have a range of 2,000, so I'm going to say that it's going to enter broad side range at around about 2,000 and leave at 2,300, let's say. Now minimum range, this will get in close, so we'll say 200 meters, but one thing is this won't have a very broad angle. It's going to go at almost 45 degrees, so I think 50 degrees could be a good angle we test with. It gets in close, turns and fires its torpedoes, then runs away. We'll see how that goes. Now the other possibility is have this set to just keep going between two fairly tight broadside ranges, but we'll try this. So I might make that 55, so it's just slightly, I'm just trying to think, 0 straight ahead, so it's slightly bigger than 45 degrees. Okay, let's try 50. Yes, 550. I like 50. Right, idle approach distance 100. Don't like getting ships getting too close. Turning circle 100 is must be code. Depth requirement, we'll set that up to as a good 50 and disable reverse. So I think that is all set up. Now the bits I might change on this, I might change that broadside minimum range. 200 I think is too close. Let's put 500, and I might even make that up near the 1,000, so it's moving between a couple of fairly close. But we'll see how that goes. This is going to get very close to the enemy. Just thinking if that's a good or a bad thing. At this moment I'm thinking that's a bad thing. I'm going to put that up to 800. Yeah, let's go with that. So next I'm thinking of the new Skipper missiles, which are a 7-long missile designed for extra long range, using a slightly different technique as such. Right, we'll put some blocks here just to act as a guide. So there are 7-long missile, and I want it down a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 below that. Let's see if I can put another block on. Now, although I've got air pumps, water is filling up inside these units because I have turned off for the moment the make a hole in the water type functionality within the options, because it spoils the looks basically. Right, so now I actually need 9 blocks. So actually I can do, yes, I've got 1 high. So down here, missiles, if I do a connector 1 up, I'll just do it with 1, and we'll make sure that that is correct. Now, someone did say about to make sure things launch correctly, make the gantries face the direction of travel, but I think it looks shit, so I'm not going to do it. Yes, I know I should do, but I don't care. I'm not gonna. I think this looks much better, having them angled this way. And I'll put an injector and make sure there's a little bit of a delay on them. Okay, let's get an injector on there. I'm quite liking the red highlighting in build mode, at least, so I know which ones have got an issue. So basically I know that there's a problem with these, so they're highlighted red because they're incomplete in some way, and that's because they've got no controller or other type of functionality. So okay, what I am going to need here, we do have 8 of these missiles. We need a staggered fire and set that quite high, and we are going to need a identify friend or foe, and then we'll put the controller there. Has that filled them all up? That's filled them all up, and then the AI just behind it. We have a fail-safe and the wireless transmitter or receiver on top. Okay, now these missiles, what makes them a little different? Okay, so actually we're going to use the new propellers in these. So these are going to be high speed torpedoes that are vertically launched. You may ask. Right, so we set up a good ramped up time, and then I'm going to set this thrust to 2000, so double thrust. Warhead delay, good 6 seconds, just to be on the safe side, and we'll say 1 second for the guidance delay. And we're gonna have these go right 45 degrees. Now I don't know, this is gonna be a bit problematic, but we'll see. Okay, we'll need 1 fin and 1 fuel tank. And let's see what else we got. We are going to need a regulator on these to make sure they go a long distance. I'm just trying to think. A ballast tank, which is going to be the cool bit, which we'll sort out in a minute, and target prediction. Okay, now it's going to actually use radar, not sonar. You may ask, but that's the way I'm doing it. It will become clear. The idea, if this works, should come out. Now, lots of explosives, because I have found explosives is better than frags against the metal, even because of limitations of frags. If you put, they don't work against metal very well, so but also there's a limit. If you've got too many frags in your view, or your explosions happening at the same time, some of them get deleted by the system to keep the performance up. So this is where it's skimmer. We're going to use the buoyancy change. We're going to put a +5, and I'll move it all over to all of them. I want to change these ones to -45. I don't know if this will work the way I expect. I've tried to point everything in relation to the ship, so it should go right and left. Now let's just try that quite simply with a little ACB. Control, little automatic control block. We'll just put it here, just for the temporarily. Come on. Right, let's try that again. We'll put it just there. Right, and we'll just do a range of 3. Fire the weapons. Where's the weapons? Weapons, please. Weapons systems. Fire. And if we do, I'll delay it for 2 seconds so I can see it from outside. Delay. That sort of works. So they're going to fire out to the side of the ship, which is the effect I was after. And then once they fire, because of the buoyancy, they skip along the surface of the water towards the target. And I think the only thing I'm missing... Oh no, because they got a radar. I don't know. I might need a one turn in there. Let me go and have a check on my missile over here. What is it they gave me? Did they have a one turn? Variable, fins, fuel tank regulator, ballast tank, target prediction. No, didn't have a one turn. Okay, we'll do it without the one turn then. That's what R&D gave me. Therefore, I will use what the R&D sent me. I need to sort out engine and propulsion. Now I'm doing a bit of, I've got some choices. I could go for fuel engines, but because of the limited space I've got here, I still think I'm going to get better power to space from a steam engine in general. So I'm going to go with that at this moment. So steam engines. Let's start from the gearbox. So we'll start a gearbox here, and we'll do three drives, 3 pistons. And we'll face them that way. No, we'll face them that way. There we go. And then I'm going to have to, again, to make it look good, I'm going to have to put a block here, because pistons just floating in the air just don't look right. There we go. That one just there, and I'll put a 3 on this end as well. And I'll have the boiler, well, could put the boilers down here and then put resources down the side. Yes, we'll go down right. So next I will need the pipe work. Corner pipe coming down. Another corner pipe here. This is where I might actually do a 3 boiler setup here. So we'll do a 4. No, I need a 4-way slanted like that, and then 2 corners, and then put boilers on the end of these. All the way around. With boilers, it's based upon, there's a little, you can see, I don't know if you can quite see it there, there is a little marker. One side's flat and one side's got a there, you can see it on there. Just actually, it looks like a little bit like a screw thread, but that's actually where your pipe work goes in. So that's 6 boilers. I think 6 boilers could be good enough at full rate. Then I need some control blocks. The control blocks will effectively put them just up there. They will effectively control the burn rate of the boilers. Then I need some storage tanks for resources, which is basically the fuel required. And I had done locks before, but basically on the new system you find your power. Where are we? Power. So if this one's to cut them down, if the power is from nothing, over 90%, 80%, 80% down here. Boilers, steam boilers, set the burn rate to as low as possible. 1%. Okay, just as a test. So if vehicle power is 81, that's done 80, let's go there. Right, now we can, using this new system, what we can do is just click copy, which I think is great, then point at the other one and click paste, and then just select invert. So if the power is less than now what we want to do is set this very low. So if the power goes below, say, 5% free, that means it's, you know, the power is very low, it's just about to run out, then turn up. You know, go to full beans. Now what we can do, so at the moment you can see it's set at 0.1, and we'll leave that for the moment. We'll see how much power we get, but I think from these three we could get as much as 2000 power going at full revs in theory. Now the only bit I haven't added here, which I normally add in, is a safety valve. Safety valves are handy to stop the engine revving completely out when the power dies and there's still pressure left. So we'll put some release vents in here, and we'll set them at slightly different values. We'll set them quite high initially, 700 on there and 800 on there, and we'll find out what value they need to be properly when we do some testing. Next defensive system is to use the other torpedoes we have available, and I also want to have a bit of a fun with the alternative, with these advanced control blocks, because I've got an interesting item I want to try. So okay, those torpedoes were 6 long plus a controller, 6, 7, so I'm needing 7, so let's go here. We try and, so what I'm going to do is put a central torpedo launcher that will launch the torpedoes to the left and right, but only if the enemy is to the left and right. So we're going to have a bit of a play with some of those settings. So on here I'm going to need we're going to put it on a turret, and we'll put the controller and items underneath. Have we got the room underneath to put these? Yeah, potentially. We'll have a look, see how this works, this plans out. Right, so it will go from slightly front to slightly rear, but mainly to the front. So the idea is, as we come abreast of the enemy, it'll bang 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 fire its torpedoes out. That's the plan. So I need to be a little bit behind, because I think these are going to be slightly longer than they are. Didn't want to spin it. Y-axis turret facing forwards there. That means the launchers then need to go about there. Okay, I'll go back one more. So, and it's 1, 2. That will give it a maximum, depending on how far I can go. I need to give this a little bit more room at the back. Okay, we'll sort that out in a second. So if I go missile controller, no, connector, and let's do a mirror line. No, up and down, thank you. So if I do like this and all the way wide at the back, that's 5, and then put launch pads on, some ejectors. Let's see how many we get here, and I want 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I put that there, that's gonna jam. Can I get away with 5? Okay, let's see if we can do this with 5. We're going to change the missiles, the R&D centers, and say, sorry, we didn't have enough room, so we didn't have to make a bit. But this is good because that makes them fast firing little missiles rather than anything else like that. Okay, so what we need, I can put a controller. Let's see if I can do this. Put the controller in here. Come on. No. There. Okay, that's worked. Now, and what we're going to do, we're going to be a bit smart. So here, a bit smart, there's hope. Right, we'll set that like that. And I'll need, just to be on the safe side, I want an identify friend or foe. So let's just come off the mirror line for a second. We'll put a friend and foe, something like that. There, and we'll put stagger on this side. Right, so now we will still put a failsafe on this, but we're not going to rely on the failsafe for targeting. So what I'm going to do is some control blocks. I'm going to get inventive with these control blocks. We're going to need 2 sets, and it will become semi-obvious why in a minute. So what we're going to use is a slightly different function of the control block, and some prioritization. So just as a basis level, we're going to say we've got from 60 degrees to let's see, through to 90, and then on to 120. To 60 to 120 is a firing arc. So that's on this side. This will be the firing side. So we go, we're going to use the enemy bearing. So if the enemy bearing, oh sorry, no, target bearing. So on channel 1, the main computer, if the enemy is from a bearing of 60, I'm going to have to give these a bit of a test, to 120, then the, where are we, if I can find the right one, wireless receivers within, we're down to about 3 blocks, set channel to be 4. So you can see there's 1 block with this is going to affect 1 item. So there we go. Copy. So if the enemy targeted on channel 1 is within 60 to 120. Oh no, this is actually the thing. Set it to 1. Okay, this is set it to 1. And what we need is the same on the other side. So if the enemy is, it's the other way around. So I think we can actually on here we can do -60, which makes it a little easier to work out, to -120. Then set the channel, and then what we want to do, and that's all at, and this is also another bit, we're going to look at priorities because we're going to have some conflicting ACBs here. So this is priority 0, so we're going to actually set these to priority 1. Priority 1. Okay, now we're going to set the opposite. So these ones we're going to say invert, then set the channel to 4, which is a channel we're not, but we're going to leave the priority at 0. So the idea being the one with the highest priority, i.e. the priority 1s, will take precedence. So this one, we go here, and this will be setting it to 4 when it's inverted on minuses. So you can see at the moment there's no enemies out there, so it's going to be executing and setting this to 4. So this will now be at channel 4. Where are we? There we go. So effectively not working. So these torpedoes, so these are want these to be short range torpedoes. So again, we're going to use the variable propeller, and we're going to set it at 2000 maximum. Ramp up time almost straight away. Don't want any 0.5 I think should do. Warhead arming delay only 1 second in case of a short range. Don't want any injection. A guidance delay 0.5 as well. And we'll see what we can fit on here. These will use sonar. If I can find it. There it is. They'll use sonar. Okay, let's put let's start. We might. I'm a little down on what I originally had on this, so we can't have everything I had on the original one. Right, fins, ballast tank. Now the ballast tanks, I'm going to do the reverse of what I did on the skipper. I'm just set it to just a slightly 0.1. What that will mean, these will tend to go down and then come up underneath a target. But unlike the ones I'd done previously in my Type 4s, these will effectively just aim themselves back up. Now, because we're using a turret, I haven't actually got an aim. I'm using the fact we're going to aim at the target on this. I'll give this a little bit of frag just in case it gets in. So, okay, can I? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with that. So it's not as fast as I originally had. No, actually, I'm going to go for the high speed. Let's go for high speed. I want really fast torpedoes here. Let's duplicate that 0.5 point. No. So I'm not going to have the fragmentation. Let's just go pure HE. I think that'll be okay. So these will be high-speed torpedoes, basically. So after a bit of mucking around with propulsion, the AI, and just sorting out some last little bits and pieces on blocks and make sure everything fires, we're ready to give it a little bit of a test. So we can test the new skimmer missiles and the torpedo system. So I'm bringing a couple of ships. So as a test, I've brought in a Bastion and a Bayleaf because they seem to be a good size and suitable targets. So here we've got the skipper missiles, which go into the water and then, as you can see, skip in and out of the water, so they can use their radar to detect the vessels and head in. They get a reasonable speed up with the dual propellers. They stay low to the sea, obviously, because of the height. They will go for the largest target, basically. And our guns are firing at this Bastion as well, because they tend to target the smallest ship. And the radar's actually locked onto this as well, and yep, that's done. Nice hits. Because they don't necessarily hit underwater, they're not as powerful as, say, the torpedoes, which hopefully we'll see when it closes in. But they are coming in quite nicely. And we've got the shells. I think they're actually going after this one now. It's knocking off blocks. Those guns aren't hyper accurate or fast firing. I could put some faster firing guns in there, I guess. Oops, the skipper missile skipped over that one, which is one of the reasons I tend to target larger vessels with them. And this is a sailing ship, but you know, it's a good little test target. Now they are concentrating on the fort here, which is not good for the fort, but in a normal battle this won't be the primary targets as well, so that still fits in with it, with the basic idea. So we're coming in nicely to attack. Still going head on at the moment, although hopefully I'm guessing the main is going to a broadside now, so maybe I have to change that broadside a little bit. Still targeting that at the moment. Possibly I'll change that broadside just so that we can get these other torpedoes in a little sooner. As now they've come in. Oh, nearly. Yep, torpedoes away. It's turning quite a bit, healing over in the turn. But these torpedoes, they're going in nice and quick. Oh, one missed, but... So I might just have to balance up the turning. It's okay now. It's coming back in. Again, high-speed missiles. I like those. They are nice and high speed coming in. And they go just below the waterline of the enemy. So that's good. The main guns, they do damage, which is important. They are just trying to hit a vital area. Yeah, okay. It generally works. We'll see what it's like in the real battle when it's got some other ships it's supporting and helping out against. But those short-range missiles, they work quite well, and I quite like the way the blocks stop it destroying itself by turning it on and off if it's not exactly enabled. Sorry, if it's not exactly in line. So the final bit is, how will this fare if the weather is bad? Let's just turn those weather effects up a little. I'll give it about 50% weather. Let's see what that does. So weather's now at 0.5. It's now resetting. Let's see when it's got some waves how it behaves. Yeah, it's coming through those waves quite nicely. It's not going overly high so far. And if anything, that's helping it evade the shots a little bit. It can still shoot back. I think the length of it now is keeping the propellers in the water a little bit, which is handy. Well, it's turning over a little bit there. We might have to... I need to sort out the mass point is sort of between two blocks, so the rudder's either too high or too low. So I'll have to balance it with some thrusters, just to some propellers acting as reverse thrusters, just to try and balance the right height. But in general, I think I'm happy with that. It's handling okay in the rough sea. It's still firing its guns, still firing torpedoes. Skipper missiles are still going in and bouncing into the target, which is quite interesting. So all in all, happy. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hopefully campaign starts soon. Until then, keep playing the game and have fun.